Bonjour à tous et cette semaine, nous avons les clés du Château et bienvenue. Und für unsere deutschsprachigen Freunde, herzlich willkommen zu Journey to the Chateau. Und diese Woche ist die Episode Wir haben die Schlüssel zum Schloss.
Welcome to another episode of Journey to the Chateau, and in this episode, we're going to share with you how we got our keys to our chateau. So last week, we had a very busy week. Yeah.
That is a colossal understatement, if I might say so.
Yeah, we had to go to France to finish the closing of our chateau. So, how did our trip start? It started with going to the airport here in Chicago.
Well, actually, it started 2 days prior.
Yeah, with the planning of, of the trip, right. And then what kind of things did we run into in the planning?
So I had called Lufthansa 2 weeks prior to our departure and asked how many dogs we could take with us on our flight. And she said, oh, yeah, you can take 4. And I was like, that's great. So please put me down for 4 dogs. So she just... crate size, blah, 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 everything was in. And said, you just need to call 2 days prior to departure to confirm everything.
Right.
So I did. And right now at Lufthansa, like with any other service provider, you're on hold for like 35 to 45 minutes before you even reach someone. So that's always fun. And then, of course, the doodly-doo music in the background that drives you crazy.
Doodly-doo.
I mean, after 45 minutes, you're basically ready to commit suicide. Anyway, so, very nice gentleman said, I'm sorry, who told you 4 dogs? You cannot take 4 dogs. And I said, what do you mean I cannot take 4 dogs? I have papers for 4 dogs. I have crates for 4 dogs. And he said, you can take 2. So he finally confirmed 2 dogs from Chicago to Frankfurt. And from Frankfurt to Hamburg.
Right.
So we arrived at the airport and our wonderful neighbor Jerry dropped us off, waited, and so we had the paperwork that they're
vaccinated
and everything seemed fine.
Right.
And
got the dogs in. We had
Yes.
they were in their correct size crates for the transport, and we had them all there ready at the checkout to go, right?
And then this really drop-dead gorgeous and very sweet and competent, highly competent employee for Lufthansa said, there's a problem. You had confirmed with your 2 dogs to fly to Frankfurt, but only one is confirmed to Hamburg. The other one has to stay in Frankfurt.
Right, because what we may not have mentioned was that this was actually a connecting flight.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes,
this flight went from O'Hare to Frankfurt, and then from Frankfurt to Hamburg.
Yes. So, what do you do? Just say, okay, we fly with 2 to Frankfurt, and then we just leave 1 sitting there.
Yeah.
So, she was marvelous, really, truly. She called her supervisor, and I think her supervisor. And finally, after standing there for an hour, we were sweating bullets. She said, I got it. It's fine. You're confirmed with both dogs.
All the way through.
All the way through.
Right.
Yeah. So then, the dogs need to go through security. And at the crates, and the gentleman who pushed us there, pushed the dogs, and it was so nice, really. Everyone was very caring at O'Hare. The dogs were, I felt, in really good hands.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. But everything, so all of that took a lot of time, so we kind of went to the gate and check-in started. So although we were there 2 hours prior, just took a long time.
Right.
And so asked the purser if they could check that the dog's actually on board, and they did, and it was great.
Yeah.
Getting to Frankfurt, good flight, going to the gate. Again, wonderful employee there of Lufthansa. I asked her if she could check, and she called down and said, "Yep, your 2 dogs are in their crates underneath the plane. They're waiting to be lifted up. They're fine. They are wagging their tails." So that was great.
Yeah.
I mean, really wonderful service.
Yeah,
and then
it was.
in Hamburg, the people there couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah.
So everything worked out fine in the end.
Yeah, and I think in Hamburg it was only maybe our nervousness, with the whole thing. I think the dogs were fine basically the whole way. They seemed like they had no problem with the flight at all.
Yes.
The only problem that we had was once we got to Hamburg, we had 2 carry-ons and 4 checked bags and 2 large dog crates
And 2
and 2 backpacks
and no coin to put in to get
a cart. Right.
It's like for Americans who go to Aldi where you put your quarter in. That's the system in Germany, even at the airport.
Yeah, so it was a bit of sort of like a comedy for a little while
Oh,
because
good
it was
Lord.
like we were in baggage claim and the bags hadn't come in yet and we were waiting to get the bags, and then I don't know how much further over in the same places where the dogs were coming in and the dogs hadn't came in yet, so it was like, oh, let's go this way and see if the bags are in, and they're not in, and can we find a cart? No, let's find a cart. We couldn't find one, and okay, let's go see if the dogs are in, and the dogs weren't in yet. So it was kind of like this juggling.
Oh, and it was.
I'm sure anybody who would watched it would have thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it would have been great to have a hidden camera there.
Yeah.
And I have to say, so this very nice gentleman where the huge luggage pieces, oversized, come out, and that's also where the dogs come out. Mm-hmm. And I said, is there anywhere where I can change a note for single so I can get a cart? And he just looked at me and he saw all the luggage, he saw the 2 dogs. He gave me €1 and said, just go get your cart. I mean, this is how nice people were, really. It was great. Mm-hmm. My dad and my mom's cousin were waiting outside with their cars.
Right.
So we loaded the dogs in their crates still, and the luggage. And my parents live it's 50 minute
Very
drive.
close, yeah.
And from the airport. Mm-hmm. And so once we got home, dogs got out, and they're happy. They're exploring
they were
everything.
great.
And my parents have a lovely pond which my father built filmed by the German HGTV channel, which is funny. So he has actually experience in this. And Nessa looked at this and said, this looks great, and jumped right in. So
Oh, yeah.
she was Miss Muddy.
Yeah.
But adorable. So they had a great time. First Mother's Day with my parents in 23 or 24
Yeah, that
years.
was nice.
Which was lovely.
That was
And on Monday, we got up at about 3:30 and left shortly
Right.
after 4 a.m. to get down to the Chateau, which took us till about 6:30 in the evening, almost 7.
Right. A little bit got skipped. A little bit was...
it did?
yes, because we actually... I don't know if we had said before that we actually had purchased a van.
I don't know. No, we purchased the van.
And so the van was already at your parents' house. Our van.
Yes.
And so one of the things that we had to do the day before, leading into that, was the van got loaded up.
With everything my parents said we don't need, we don't want, and a lot of things we actually needed, like
Right.
Some white bone china and white bed linen,
Right. An armoire. Right.
a Biedermeier armoire,
Yeah.
which was needed to be taken down out in the car, and then another one came from the attic, had to be put together. It was a lot of running around, and my parents were wonderful, and
And so we had a full van.
yes, and one that
Yeah.
was Frauke, and my mom's cousin Frauke. And it was kind of funny. We talked about the fact that my mother has known Frauke from the day she was born. Frauke knows me from the day I was born, and I know Frauke's children from the day they were born. So it's, good Lord, it was great. Our friend Doris was there with her son Björn, who both helped. So
All helped to load up
everyone
the van,
helped,
right.
and it made everything so much faster and easier. So thank you so much to everyone in Hamburg. And
So then we headed down and we drove. We drove down through Germany and then through Belgium before going into France. Had stops along the way for the dogs to take a break. Can't say I'm very impressed with the rest areas in Germany.
No,
I don't know what was going on with that.
it's kind of a decline there a bit.
Yeah,
They used to be better. The French ones were really nice.
Yeah, and actually Belgium there were too.
Oh yes, Belgium was excellent.
They were great.
So I think it was almost 7 when we arrived at the Chateau.
Right, and that was a little bit later than what we told them that we were going to arrive. So
we said 6.
We were a little nervous about that we were later than what we told them,
But so it's the son of the former owner, and really incredibly kind, and his cousin who farms the land around the chateau. They own all that still. Was there, so we were introduced to him and his son. It was just great. A little overwhelming. He handed us the key.
Right.
Keys. The one key for the
one big key
kitchen door.
Yeah, for the kitchen door.
And then he left, and we did a walk through the chateau, and there were things that we didn't say, furniture that we didn't say we wanted, and no one wanted. They didn't sell it, so they just left it for us, including another 17th century armoire, which is gorgeous.
Right.
A piano.
A piano, yeah.
Everyone needs a piano, apparently.
A lot of other little tables and individual chairs and things.
Yes, and china and dishes. I mean, in general, glasses.
Yeah, lots of
great
tea sets and just a lot of stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
really very, very kind, and so yes, that was driving down. I think it was 16 hours that we drove.
Yeah.
It was a bit exhausting, and it did not get any more restful, really.
Right.
So the day after we arrived there, we went to the notaire, and
that was a meeting that was in the afternoon.
Yes.
So what we did was that earlier that day or that morning, we actually went to get a rental car.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes, because we didn't want to drive the van around, and at that point I'm not sure we were too tired to unload it. I think at that point we unloaded it later maybe.
But we had some things.
We unloaded from it. Yeah. So we went and got a rental car, so we could drive the smaller rental car to the meeting with the notaire.
And all the other things we needed to. Well, some of the things were places we needed to go.
Right.
And so we had a sworn-in translator, which is required under the law of French. The French, oh good Lord, what is that called? When you buy a property. So if you're a foreigner, or if French is not your first language.
Right. It's a requirement in France that you have to have an interpreter there. And that includes for not only this kind of thing, but other things like for
weddings,
marriage things too. You have to have, if somebody is not a native French speaker, then there has to be some sort of an interpreter there as part of the meetings.
And good Lord, was she adorable. She's
was
wonderful.
She was great.
The notaire was wonderful, really. For me, the most amazing thing is that I had 7 years of French in school in Germany. I was never a stellar student, as I mentioned in the vlog prior. I was just lazy, but I was actually pretty good in French. So I sat there and I would say I understood 80% of what he was saying, and it took 3.5 hours to go through the contract.
Yeah, it was something that was I thought was just amazing about it was, it's a huge contract anyway, and we knew that because we had gotten the paper version before and we had went through it, and it was kind of just going through page by page the whole thing, like
what was important.
the important
things
parts.
that are.
But what I thought was fascinating so everyone had to basically confirm the information that was in it was correct. And a lot of it was, the personal information, your passport, your whatever your addresses and stuff were. And what I found fascinating was that whenever they would find even like the smallest mistake or a typo, there was one place that I had noticed where for Woodstock they had actually left the T out of Woodstock.
And it was Woodstock.
It said Woodsock is what it said. The T was gone. Woodsock. And so I pointed out that that it was spelled wrong, and so. Every time there was something, there was a spelling or correction that needed to be made, the notaire had a phone in front of him, and he would call up and he'd get on the phone and he'd talk to somebody on the phone, and then he'd wait like a minute, and all of a sudden the screen would refresh and the correction would be made. So there was somebody sitting in another room somewhere who was sitting there just waiting to do
legal assistance,
to do immediate corrections on it, that during the meeting we would automatically see the corrected.
That was amazing.
Fantastic.
That was really high tech.
Yeah.
Very impressive. So we got that all done, and we drove back to the chateau,
right,
with cheeses and baguette and pâtés, and we actually had rosé wine from the Provence region that my parents had gotten for us. That was just it was really good evening, and we were sitting out in the front courtyard. It was 10, 11 o'clock in the evening. It was dark, and we were watching the stars, and the dogs just loved it. They owned that chateau in a day.
Yeah,
they didn't have much, didn't need much.
They knew right where to go. They knew right which stairs to go up and down to get around.
They
knew
everything. They love it. I mean, really. And then we went into the backyard, which is, I think, almost eight acres. And I think it's almost 50,000 square meters. And then we just we didn't know what was there. So there are peach trees, plum trees, apple trees.
Yeah.
There is a laurel bush. Well, we never have to buy laurel again. And I just put ours in the compost because you can't take leaves over. But there is a laurel tree that is like 10 feet tall. And it's beautiful. So we have a huge fig tree. Apples, I think. I'm not sure if they're pears.
There was quite a lot of fruit trees. Not sure what all of them were, but a lot of fruit trees.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
And currants. I don't know if they're red or black currants, but there's a lot of things already there. And when we arrived there on Monday, most of the roses were budding. By Thursday, when my parents were there, they were blooming.
Yeah, full bloom.
And we have roses that are like this big, the flowers, just stunning. And someone in a prior vlog said, "Oh my God, keep those roses because they're already there and it's expensive to replace." Absolutely true, and they're so pretty.
Right, and we were lucky actually. I mean, it's sort of mid-spring there. I mean, so there may have been a few things that had bloomed before we got there, but the whole back of the chateau, along the whole back of the chateau, was all just iris across the whole back wall of the chateau.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
And that is the side where the sun sets, and we have a sycamore tree or plantain that is almost in the center of the chateau, and I tried to for me to I hug trees, right? So that tree is couldn't even hug half of it.
You were not even halfway around when you hugged it.
And so that is about our guesstimate would be 250 years, and there are two linden trees or lime trees. They are just as thick. So really pretty. We have a caboodle of mistletoe. Walnut
Yeah.
trees. We have
Yeah.
lovely walnut trees. And the one thing I found, we wanted a walled garden. We didn't get a walled garden. That's
Right.
fine. But what used to be our, potager, the vegetable garden,
Yes.
has actually a wall on three
Right,
sides.
and that was not until that was like the
last day?
second to last day, or the
Yep.
last day that we were there, that you walked through that area with the dogs.
Yep.
And you were like started waving. You were so excited, and you were like waving me over, and it was like, what?
Pathetic, right?
And sure enough,
Yeah, there's a wall. Well, it's mostly collapsed.
And you took a couple pictures of it that we'll show too. But yeah, so we've got basically three walled garden.
Yes.
3 out of 4 walls are surrounding the garden.
And it's like with, the glass is half full or half empty. The point is it's refillable and the wall is rebuildable. So
Right.
the stones are there.
Right.
So we just need to take the brumbles and stuff and
Yeah,
rebuild that a
it's
bit.
definitely something that we're going to have to. That's going to be quite a lot of work to just uncover it, just so
Nothing
it
soon.
doesn't get damaged any further. Because
Right.
obviously, the overgrowth is tearing that wall down slowly.
Well,
so.
we have multiple walls like that, and
Right.
the Dove Quad, which we'll document, has actually starts to show cracks in
Right.
the walls. And so that is something where we need to find a company to put a steel or 2 steel rings around it to keep it together and then cover it with a roof.
Yeah, it needs to be protected until we have a chance to actually get to it and
Yes.
renovate it. Yeah.
And that's going to be a future project, but just so there is some protection and it does not deteriorate any further. But we'll deal with that when we get there.
Right. Okay, so I guess we should say that we are now the proud owners of the Chateau de Colombe
In Saint-Baudel,
in Saint-Baudel.
in the department of Cher. Cheers to
Cheers.
that. So yes, we did it.
We did.
It's signed.
It is. It is ours. We are the current caretakers
Yes,
of the Chateau de Colombe.
we're the Chatelains, and it's almost surreal because we started looking 3 years ago, and then pandemic, and it's marvelous. I think it exceeded expectations. I think in a way,
Absolutely, yeah.
and walking through it.
Right, and that we already know that there is a lot of history about it that we have to learn about, and there were a lot of documents that were left for us.
Yes, so we asked if
documents.
they would leave the documents pertaining to the chateau.
Yeah.
And the chateau has a library, which is a little bit of a glorified word for a room with one huge built-in bookcase,
Right,
but
right.
it's a lovely room, and so jet lag, it's just a wonderful
Yeah.
thing. So we got up, I think it was
That was like the
2:00 in the morning, some 3.
I don't even know. Was that the first or second night? It was pretty second night we were there. Yeah.
So-
I got up in the middle of the night, and for I guess for lack of anything to do in the middle of the night in a chateau, we
Yes.
decided that we were going to just peek through a little bit of the documents that were in the library.
And so they had chairs, and there's light, and there were the dogs, and there's Rosé. And then there was the two of us. And we went through documents going all the way back to 1536.
Right.
Copies.
Somebody had definitely done their homework and doing research on this, because some of these, the majority of the stuff that we have not looked at are all original documents.
Well, yes.
But
there
a
are
lot of
at the top right 2 shelves.
But what we have seen so far has been in the lower shelves, and it was kind of a more modern notebook where somebody had done some research, and they were photocopied pages that they had gotten from a local local archives. Yeah.
And so yes, so there are 2 big shelves all the way up there that are, some of them is vellum, so parchment. Well, we did not want to touch that right now.
Right.
So we need a table, we need gloves.
Right.
But it's, I mean, there are hundreds of pages, and we found letters that were written to the prior owners. I mean, the prior owners, or the grandparents.
Yeah.
And it was always addressed with Monsieur le Baron. So it was a baronet, and this family goes back there, or did go back there for almost 300 years.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And what they did do is, so when you walk into the Grand Salon, and our dogs are having a ball right there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but
So they actually left a lot of gold-framed mirrors and family portraits. Some are in gouache, some in pencil, some in oil.
Oh yeah, and
Amazing.
And watercolors that were done.
Yes, in the let's see, it was by the grandfather of. So the father-in-law of the former owner,
Right.
who was going to turn 90 in January. So they were painted in the late 1800s, early
landscapes.
1900s.
They're almost all were landscapes.
Landscapes or other Chateau that he painted.
Right.
Really quite a
They're
talented
well done,
painter.
yes.
We've found a big case with glass slides.
Right, glass negatives.
Oh, glass negatives.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see. Eventually, I will see if I can get those on a scanner and what I can do with those on my computer to actually get some prints so we can see what's on those glass negatives. Right.
Yeah, I mean it's really fascinating.
And I did find in one room I found several old maps that were kept.
1841.
1841 was one of the maps, and right there on the map it is Chateau de Colombes.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
It's quite. We actually did it.
Yeah, and I feel it's quite a responsibility, right? I mean, we are taking care of this for this current time and
The foreseeable future.
and
yes.
it's quite a responsibility for us to do the best that we can to take care of the chateau.
And make sure that it's there for future generations
Right.
of people.
Right.
And dogs.
Yes.
It's gonna be the Chateau du Chien, and Colombe was in Old French, is the keeper of doves.
Right.
So that's why the dovecot, which is really huge.
It is a huge dovecot.
It really
yes.
is very important to eventually restore it.
Right.
And put that cone-shaped roof on it.
The conical roof.
Conical.
Yes.
It's not Gautier.
It's not the bra. It's
No,
not the
not
bra.
Gautier. It was Gautier, by the way.
It
Bra.
was.
No, it's so that roof will eventually, when we have the time and the finances ready, will be rebuilt, and it was covered with not with slate, but with terracotta.
Terracotta.
Because there's like 3 rows still sitting on some of those areas.
Right.
Fascinating. And we have to rebuild a whole bunch of doors to certain stables.
Right.
And
We have some of the outbuildings currently have power that's not working, so we have to kind of figure out
There's that.
what's going on with those. Yeah.
And we found an area, we have two old hen houses that are built in like an L or in a right angle. Behind that, there is an area of bramble.
Yes.
It's like an acre. So, of course, it's a great wildlife preserve because
Right.
no predator can get in there, but neither can we. And we found the two cedars of Lebanon.
Right. Beautiful.
We didn't know how old they were, but
Oh.
they are way over 150
Yeah,
years
they
old.
were. Yeah, they were much
Huge.
older than I thought.
So,
Lots of fun and exciting things, you know. And we didn't.
Yes.
And there were still things that buildings that we didn't even go into.
We had no
no
time.
time to go into everything. There were buildings that we hadn't been into before that we did, you know, take a flashlight and look inside to see what was going on in there. But
we had to have one of the lean-ons or lean-to, depending on who you ask. It's a building that is built at an angle
Yeah.
to the farm.
right.
And in that building, you think you get storage. No, it's actually the remains of yet another tower.
Of a tower, yes.
It's like,
there
oops.
is inside of that building is the partial curved wall of what used to be another tower.
Yeah. So, no idea what we're going to do with that. Had of course, we already thought, just going to build this out and add it to the farmhouse as living space. No, we can't. I mean, we might not be able to because it's a tower.
Right.
It's crazy. Stuart just peeked into the attic of the chateau
Yeah,
itself.
I went up there. You didn't go up there at all, right? This
Nope.
time? No, but I did go up there just for a few minutes. I couldn't stay up there any longer because it was so hot up there anyway. Just to see. And it was, you know, we had asked if any of the old trunks and things could be left, and they were all up there. So that's going to be fun to actually get up there and go through all of the old trunks that were left behind.
Yes, so that's going to be a whole, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 vlogs.
Who knows?
Because there's so many of them.
Right.
And who knows what we're going to find. It might be all disastrous or fascinating.
Maybe we do like trunk of the week, and it's like at the end of every episode we open up one other new trunk or something. I don't know.
That will get us through 3 months or 4 months of vlogs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's... we are tickled to death. We're really thrilled.
And we did actually say, you know, we were sitting out, one of the nights we were sitting out in the courtyard, and we did actually say that we hated to come back here, right? And it's like, if it wasn't for the fact that we still had dogs here that we needed to get over to France, we were thinking, wow, we really don't want to go back.
We didn't. It was so... can we just talk about going out buying stuff?
Sure.
Oi.
Yeah.
So we needed things. We needed a bed. So I'm 6'5", and the antique bed that we purchased
The one that we purchased that they left for us at the Chateau. It's a beautiful bed.
Yes, about 5
cane-
inches
caning.
too short.
Yeah.
And we slept there, and look, the dogs just
And of course,
went
the
through-
dogs wanted to sleep on the bed too.
Well,
so-
and come on. I mean, so they just went through 2 plane rides. They stood under a plane
Right.
for only 15 minutes, which was great.
Yeah.
Then they drove for 16 hours and were
And of course,
wonderful passengers.
Yeah, so of course we're going to spoil them completely and give them anything that they want. Once
Yeah, I
we're
mean, you
at the
know, put
Chateau.
them in a crate and say, just,
Right.
go away. So they slept with us. It was great. So we went to
Yeah, so we needed a bigger bed, obviously.
that, and
Yes.
we needed a washing machine. And
Yes, and you know,
fridge.
after we tried, okay, so there was a refrigerator in the kitchen.
well, still is there.
Well, there is still one, yes. So we tried to use the
And it works.
refrigerator, and it does work. However, it is very small, first of all, and it's just old.
It's about 20 years old.
It was old.
And so
So we decided
Yeah.
that, especially, with Patrick's parents coming and staying there for 2 weeks while we're here right now, we needed a better refrigerator, even if it's a temporary refrigerator that ends up, being used in a gîte later on.
It's
or
a
something.
nice fridge,
but it
just
is a
saying.
nice refrigerator
And freezer. Part.
and freezer. Yes, yeah.
So we needed the washing machine. Where do you put a washing machine? So especially if copper lines are cut and soldered
Right.
shut.
Right.
So we found out that in the hallway between the dining room and the kitchen used to be
There used to be
a laundry.
Yes, there used to be laundry there.
So shut-off valve was there, but the whatever that thing.
The knob to turn
Yes.
the water on and off was missing.
Pliers are a good thing. So we got that all working.
Right.
But going to the store, and then I have to speak French. Ooh. It's
That progressively got better. I think that we ended up going to the store.
Yep.
I think three trips maybe we made out for different kind of supplies and appliances and stuff. And you were really nervous about it in the first one. And I think by the time we got to the last trip, I think the people didn't even really question at all.
no, that's true. I mean, it was.
Your language.
And I have
You
to
speak
say,
in
we
French.
went to Bourges, to a large électroménager, and so they have furniture and any kind of appliance you need. They have
Right.
beds,
Right.
and we need the bed. And so when I got stuck with my French, this gentleman who was so kind said, "Well, I said, I don't speak English, but I speak a little German." So that was great. And his coworker came over. She spoke a little English. So the
English,
three of
yes.
us, so we got a great, basically king-size bed
Right.
with the bed linen, which we could wash,
Right.
and
Right.
pillows. And
Yeah.
so they were so incredibly kind. I mean, it's...
Oh yeah.
that kindness
So just
is
quickly,
amazing.
just to show how something that would never happen in the United States, just to show how nice these people were. So when we were there shopping, it was lunchtime, which in case you don't know, in France, that in lunchtime everything shuts down.
12 to 2 p.m.
12 to 2. So we were there and we had kind of encroached into the beginning of lunchtime.
Like
So-
20 minutes or
right.
so.
So where all of their appliances were located was in a separate warehouse that was kind of like, I don't know, basically a block away, kind of,
Yeah,
you had to
yes.
you had to go back on the road, go back and come back in again. And it was confusing because, originally we thought it was just going to be, we went around to the back of the building and then we would pick up the appliance and put it in the van. And we went back there, and the one of the women who was the one who helped us, now because the people who had helped us were now leaving for lunch, right? So we saw them outside.
Yes.
And so as we were driving outside, they were like going, go this way, they're telling us where to go. And we got around to the back, and the one woman who had helped us, she told us, no, you need to go back out to the road, and then you need to go to a right, and then take another right.
Second right.
Second right. And so we went back out there, and we went to the road. We were doing the second right, and she had pulled off of the road, and she was sitting there, right there at the entrance, waiting for us, and waving to us that this was the place to go. And it's like,
Incredible.
who does that?
Just so nice.
Who
And
does that for people?
the guys in the warehouse were...
They were great.
one day...
Oh, the guys came out and they, it was, because it was lunch hour. So they decided that I don't know how many were out there. It was
Three.
There were 3 and there was another guy standing inside. There was 4 guys who were
Incredibly
there.
fast.
And so they were all there and they were loading up the appliances. And
the bed. Don't forget the bed.
Yeah, and the bed. And you were talking to the one guy and you were saying that, we were moving here
Well,
from
he asked where
we're from. And we were moving from the United States. And what did he say when he
First thing he said, I'm from Chicago.
Chicago?
I love Chicago.
And he said that to you, which I don't even know. Why would he even think that you specifically were even from Chicago?
I love Chicago. Anyway, so that was great.
They were so fantastic. They were great.
Oh, and the closest bakery to us, good Lord, they do not just have great baguette and croissants and pain au chocolat. They also have quiches that are...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, are they good.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, we kind of, like, skipped all over a bit, but by the Thursday, which was, like, what is it, the fourth or fifth day that we were there, that's when Patrick's parents... Fourth day they were there. Patrick's parents arrived, because Patrick's parents very kindly are staying at the Chateau for us with the two dogs that we went there with, and they're going to stay there until we are able to go back.
Right.
Right. So they're actually watching the Chateau right now.
Well, in the morning we went to another store because we needed more stuff.
Right.
I mean,
right.
that's where we got the fridge and the microwave,
Right.
which also works as an oven, and the coffee maker,
Right.
and vacuum cleaner.
Yes. Yep.
Always good to have. Just saying.
Yeah.
It was great. Now, one thing we've noticed: dining room, hall, salons. One thing we do not have are places to plug things in.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like everyone. So we will have a lot of electrical work to do.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm dreading it. But it's there are plenty of places where we know there's loose plaster. So it's
Right.
Oh,
yes.
that wallpaper.
Are you talking about the entrance hall?
Most of it.
Well, yes.
When was it?
Well,
when was it done?
We knew from when we were there in October that when we did the walkthrough in October that there were lots of areas that were wallpapered that we didn't realize from photos that they were wallpaper. It wasn't until we were there this time that we actually realized that the whole front entrance, main staircase, is wallpapered.
It holds the plaster up. You see the bubbles.
Apparently it does.
But yes, when was it done? It's not like 17th or 18th century.
No.
That is 1950s to 60s.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
was wallpapered
Right.
at that time. So
Right.
we know when we will take down that 1950s or 60s wallpaper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like houndstooth, micro houndstooth. Not pretty, and they're bubbles, so we know we have a lot of replastering to do.
Right. Yeah. We have quite a lot of work to do, and we sort of keep changing. We've changed our minds a few times about, what is the first projects we're going to do. We've actually changed our minds about what room we want to stay in.
Totally.
So, that may even change again.
Hey, we talked about that we, yes, this is the plan.
Right.
And a lot of we're sitting here while the French bureaucracy just slowly moved forward. So what do? You make plans. And we always said, we know that these are just, basic plans. They might change, and they did, and it's great. We said, the kitchen is fine. We don't have to do anything with the kitchen, and it is functional.
Right. And then we sort of decided that maybe we will work on the kitchen sooner than we thought that we would.
Well, it's also generational. I mean, my grandmothers were from that generation, and very often you have in those households of people that were born, 80, 90, 100 years ago. You have a cast iron skillet on the stove, and you fry everything in it. And so it's a lot of... I can't even tell you how much grease there is.
Yeah.
You touch something and go, oh.
Yeah.
Because you get stuck on it. So we decided that we're going to do a primer of just white in the kitchen, and then we do an off-white to make it a little less harsh.
Right.
But that's going to be, I don't know, 3 coats at least.
Right.
And someone thought it was great to put like a fake stucco effect on the walls, so it's a little rough, a little Tuscan or provincial exterior wall. I don't. Okay, so my initial thought was, I'm not going to spend 2 weeks scraping this off. I can live with this.
Yeah.
And
who knows?
Yeah, that might be a project for, give me 5 years or 10 years.
Right.
I don't know. But good Lord. So it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. It was.
And then we had to leave. Mm-hmm. And
I did. Oh, by the way, since we haven't mentioned it yet, we did talk previously about some of the stuff that we needed to take with us. One of which was the drone that we wanted to take with, and we actually had no problem at all getting the drone there. The batteries were secured the way that the airline asked for them, and they were just fine. So I was able to. In what time that we had, I was able to do a little bit of drone footage, which you've seen some of this in this episode, and some of it in the next episode as well. I think what we're planning is that for the next episode, we're going to show some of the video that we took inside the chateau, in some of the rooms, showing some of the projects that we have that are coming up. I took a much more detailed video of the room with the applique wallpaper, so you get a better idea of what that looks like. You can see some of the other pieces of furniture that they left for us. The other armoire that's absolutely beautiful that they left for us in the chateau.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we so the dining table that we purchased is a Louis XV. And so it was set up for, I think, 8 people. And so there are the leaves that you can put in there. So
Right.
then you can see 12.
Right.
However, there are 8 more leaves
Right.
which do not have a mahogany veneer. So
Right.
those
You found those. Those were actually. We'll show it to you sometime. But there's like this weird little ledge on the first floor upstairs where wrapped in blankets and
Old fabrics.
old fabrics. We opened it up, and that's where all the leaves of this table were at. So 2 of them that we took out and we put into the table were actually the mahogany,
Yes.
right? So they look really nice, expanded the table. And then along with that, there are also 5. There were 5 additional.
I thought 4.
No, there's 5. Because I think I measured like how wide each one was.
So the
it's
table
5.
is 15 feet long. It
Yeah.
seats 20 people.
Yeah.
I always said to Stuart, I hope somewhere there are those leaves. Yes, there are.
There are. Yeah,
And
they're there.
we have. We took one picture with just the one that have the mahogany veneer.
Just the 2 mahogany leaves.
Well, 3 now because 2 were upstairs.
Right.
So we
Right,
have
right.
now the table is round. Then you make it into oval
Right.
with 3 leaves, and that seats 12. And
Right.
then you can add those 4 other or 5 other leaves, and it's a huge table.
Huge.
Now we need 20 chairs.
Right. And 1 large tablecloth.
Yeah,
to cover the whole thing.
Yes, so we need basically a 21 foot long tablecloth.
Wow. Yeah.
It's going to be. I mean, it's really talking about a great Thanksgiving. We could have Stephanie and the Lalonde crew.
Terry and Ash.
And their
Lala
family.
Sal, the people.
And Chateau Le Fleur. We can have everyone there for Thanksgiving lunch or dinner.
Right.
So no, but it's such a great surprise.
Right.
We can't wait to get over there again. We have been packing like complete nutters.
Right. So what happens is a week from today that we are taping this, we actually will have the containers, the moving container. One container
But
will be
it's
here.
2 trucks.
I think this Friday we have the crate builder, who's
Yes.
going to be here to start building the crates for the chandelier.
Like
and some
that
of the
naked thing above us,
chandelier,
that's
right?
the chandelier
Right,
cage.
right. And so then we have the more video from the chateau that I took, that I will try to put together a vlog for next Wednesday as well. But that will probably be something that we do quite a bit before Wednesday, because by Thursday of next week, we're gone. We're already...
No, not next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Thursday of next week, we will already be on a flight out of here and we're gone. Yeah. That's how soon that is.
I think I just threw up a little in my mouth.
Yeah, so that is why right now we are in, a frantic packing
Overdrive.
mode of getting everything boxed up as fast as we possibly can.
And we have made huge progress in that.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's not an uphill battle, which is a good thing.
Right.
It's,
Yeah, you can definitely see progress. I mean, you look now. We've got closets that are completely empty now. It's definitely, we are making progress. And we still have, right now we still have a week to complete everything.
well, yes, well, it's next week, Monday and Tuesday,
Right.
they're coming to pick up the furniture and boxes.
Right.
And
Right.
good Lord, do we have a lot of boxes that have art or mirrors in them.
Right.
But I mean, it's great. So that's all packed already. It's not like we are behind the curve. I mean, we're kind of on target or a little ahead. Once the furniture is gone, and the stuff that we're donating,
Right.
good thing is that the new owners of this house, who are, I think, signed in 2 days, they're closing.
Right.
We already are done. There will still be a bed and
Right.
sofas that we can sit on. So that's all great.
Right.
But it's plastic plates, paper plates, and some, just forks that will have to just go into the check-in or something. But it's, I went to Nest of the Sparrow today, again, with a whole bunch of things. And there's one more big trip to them, and then it's done.
Right.
So, we're this close.
We are.
And
Yep.
it's petrifying and incredibly elevating all at once. So we keep you posted.
Okay.
Have a good night.
See you next time.
Au revoir.
Bonne
À
journée.
bientôt.
If you enjoyed this video, please use the like feature to let us know. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our Journey to the Chateau YouTube channel if you would like to see more. Once you've subscribed, you can tap the notification bell in order to ring it, which will allow you to receive all notifications from our channel. Thank you.